Guys, so 30%, 13% battery time on the GoPro left, and half batteries from a wee garden test I had with the 5th scale Losi 5T brushless running 8S. So it's not going to be a long bash, but I'm just going to bring it here. I'm doing a bit more testing on these Proline tyres, and I've not really spent too much time jumping this truck. So the idea is just to jump it. I've actually spent no time, not much time at all on these ramps either. So as part of my promise to myself to do more bashing this year, I am practicing. I'm coming to the end of my, what I call my build season. So this winter build season has been good. I pushed myself further, I think, creatively than I have done before, and I was reasonably happy. So you know, I'm going to try and bash. So I'm bashing. I've not really ever used ramps before. Went out and bought some. I know I can make them bigger or whatever, but I'm also trying to use local bash spots that are literally just by my house, so that I have no excuse not to bash. I think I'm already losing. I'm already losing some power here. Maybe not, maybe a little bit. 2 8,000 milliamp hour packs, and before you lot gas guys say, oh yeah, you don't get the run times, I can double that to 2 times 16,000 milliamp hours, which gives me about 35 minutes of run time on 8S, which is plenty. And as you can see, Losi 5Ts can jump. Very handsomely. We'll see how these wheels hold up. I'll do a good inspection at the end of it. And the rest of the truck, I really have hardly used it since I converted it from gas to electric. So a Losi, well, 5th scales tend to tell you what's going on through sound. Sounds a bit squeaky and dry, although I did give it a check and a wee going over with the lube GT85. She's jumping pretty well. I love the bigger scales. They jump very graciously normally. This is also a rush job in between snow and sleet storms, although none of it is settling. Let's just go a little bit bigger. This is probably famous last words. Nice. Flies quite nicely. Far better balanced brushless than it is with a gas motor in it. My goodness. Gas motor just wouldn't even get on the same page with this kind of performance. I'd be constantly stopping and checking temps, although there is a romance with gas, I know, and I appreciate it, but you can't bash like this with gas. Not as quickly as this anyway. You can't set up this quickly. She flies pretty sweet. Flies like a dart. Darts. Really does. Big air. That's nice. Chassis, RC Max UK chassis. Front and rear end, complete RC Max UK custom build. That's massive air. That's some of the biggest jumps I've ever done with an RC. That is, on me, double overhead. For those of you who've surfed before, that's my background. That's in line with me. but still a nice jump. Oh, I'm having fun. Sorry, I always blether on, don't I? Some of you must think, oh, just shut up and get on with it. I like a blether. Oh, that's a big jump for a Losi 5T, I tell you. These things are not long travel, and I have no idea if I'm bending or breaking expensive things, but you know what? I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And this chassis, you know, you buy this aftermarket kit, it's meant to be the best. Well, needs to be with me. Look at some of the divots it's turning out. That's crazy. It's literally ploughing this field. This truck is ploughing the field. Oh, that was a side landing. So if there was ever any damage to a wheel or a tyre, that would have been it. This is a 20 plus 25 kilogram car. And I think everything is okay. Yeah, everything's okay. Suspension arms are okay. Suspension pins are okay. We're bottoming out on the chassis. Is the chassis in straight? The chassis is... Oh, I think the chassis bent. Having said all of that, I think I've bent an RC Max UK chassis. I think that's a bent chassis. But I'll need to double check, but I think that is bent there. It goes dirt and then up. That is a bent chassis, folks. Oh well. It might be, it might not be. I don't know, I need to check it. Handling fine, I'm not going to replace it, put it that way. If everything's working. Look at that, this thing's a monster. It is a monster, I tell you. Look at that power, that is just, doesn't even care it's on a super, that is just monster time. What a great car. Well, it's held up pretty good, guys. I'm going to call it a day there. I need to investigate this chassis issue, and also for once I'm just going to quit whilst I'm ahead. I'm going to check some bolts and stuff. I'm not sure if that is. I think the base of it's flat and these plastic bits are freaking me out. I'm not sure. It could be, it might not be the case, but it looks okay. It looks okay. I'll be able to get it back and check the geometry though, but as a test for the tyres and a jumping session, my first one with a Losi 5T overall, I think it's gone fairly well. Alright. What's the update? The update is that these two lipos, perfectly good lipos, that one's swollen almost. That one might be savable. This one is not. That is unless it's just come apart. Oh no, they've just come apart. I think those lipos are okay. I think they've just come apart with the landings or whatever. I think they're alright. So I think I've saved the lipos. The reason why the lipos have done that is because I updated this ZTW Beast ESC to include the firmware for low voltage cutoff, which I think it has performed perfectly adequately previously, and it didn't do this time, and I just got carried away with the session One thing I did find is that this protective bit here on the body increases the temperature in here significantly. So actually everything was pretty warm, but I think that's also because it didn't low voltage cut off. So I don't know if those lipos are cooked or not. One thing that is goosed is this chassis. This RC Max UK chassis is bent here, mostly on this side, but it's bent across here. So I'm going to have to look online or even think myself about running a tower, maybe a tower to tower brace that might stop that, or something that goes from here. Maybe someone's thought of something that goes across, but maybe they haven't, because it's normally got a big gas motor in there. I have got a spare stock, I think, Losi, no, 30 DNT chassis, so I can take all this off and put it on that chassis. One thing I have done is I chopped a load of holes into this section for running cables, which in hindsight was a stupid thing to do, so that would have weakened it somewhat. The test on the tyres is great. These tyres were awesome. They held up perfectly fine. I will need to inspect them, but they feel just fine, and they look all right. So that wheel nut came loose a bit, so I need to tighten that up. But I'll take those tyres off and do a full inspection. But it went skyward, that is for sure. Motor's in one piece, motor mount is in one piece, centre diff mount's in one piece. Everything's in one piece apart from the chassis. Peace. All right. Well, just another update and a boring view, but it turns out that this little lip on my garage is really good for bending Losi 5T chassis back dead straight. So the chassis is now absolutely mustard straight, or straight enough for me anyway. So I'm going to carry on bashing the living daylights out of it until it really breaks. Peace.